Hey y'all, welcome back to Talk to Her Nice podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about doing more of what feels good and less of what doesn't. If you've been feeling like lately you've just been daydreaming about what you'd rather be doing, or you've just been really focusing on not enjoying what you've been doing lately, then today's episode is going to be for you. I think it's really easy for a lot of us to do more of the things that we don't want to be doing, especially with age, but also the more responsibilities we have. Like if you're a student and you're also a parent and you also work a full-time job, the more and more that you have on your plate, the easier it is to kind of neglect the things that you'd really rather be doing. And that's just natural, but it's still not a good excuse. If there's something that you haven't been making the time for because of everything else you have going on, then it's time to start learning how to prioritize a little bit where you can, because it doesn't have to be that you spend hours of your day or hours of your week doing all of the things that you'd rather be doing. It's more just about being more in flow and being more in that frequency that you want to be in. If you're sitting there and you're doing all these things that you don't want to be doing and that consumes majority of your day, then you're probably in a lower frequency. Maybe you feel bad, maybe you feel guilty, maybe you feel stressed, maybe you feel annoyed because you're spending all this time on something you don't want to do, versus if you can just implement a little bit more of the things that you'd rather be doing into your day or into your week, then you're allowing yourself to be in that higher frequency more often. When we're doing the things that we'd rather be doing, we're in a higher frequency. We're in a better mood because we're doing something that either brings us joy, makes us happier, makes us feel good. So today's episode is just all about making that time and identifying what things are we doing that we don't want to be doing, and then what things can we do to be more in that frequency that we want to be in. So let's talk about what it looks like and what it feels like when we're doing things that we don't want to be doing. I can say for myself, sometimes I don't realize I'm doing it naturally until I feel it in my body. Sometimes it can look like where your mind wanders off and goes to all the things that you could be doing. Maybe it's not even plans. Maybe you offered to do things for someone, or maybe you're taking on extra responsibilities or roles that you don't want to be taking. Maybe you live with roommates, for example, or maybe it's with your partner. You feel like you're doing your part, but they're not doing their part. But because you want to avoid confrontation or you want to avoid an argument, you're doing more than you feel like you should be doing, or you're overcompensating because you feel like that'll help prevent an argument when deep down it's just building that resentment within you. I think another really easy way to think about this is, you're doing what brings you joy when you're not feeling regretful, when you're not daydreaming about other things, when your mind isn't wandering off to other places. So that thing that brings you joy, that thing that you love doing, what is that? So the next time you're in that mental space, or you're just having so much fun and you're in that pure enjoyment, try to just be present and mindful of the moment. Are you daydreaming in that moment? Is your mind wandering off to other places? Probably not. Because when you're doing more of what you love, you're in flow. You're not trying to control whatever else is happening around you. You're just enjoying that moment. If you're not enjoying that moment, that's a good sign that you're probably doing something you don't want to be doing. And I'm not saying to just completely stop all your responsibilities. I'm not saying stop going to work. I'm not saying you completely ditch your responsibilities. I'm not saying stop going to school. I'm not saying don't show up. It's not that. It's just about where are the unnecessary things in your life that you're pouring your energy into, where it's not serving you, so that you can take that back and then pour that energy into what actually makes you feel happy and joyful. Because I know I can speak a lot about just the whole thing for me with entrepreneurship and posting on YouTube and my podcast, all of that. For a while, it's like I was doing. I would spend my entire weekend just recording, editing, uploading. I was posting every week on YouTube, y'all. And I guess I still am, because through this podcast, I upload it into YouTube. But I also had my other YouTube channel that was solely just talking about self-development, talking about inner work, loving yourself, which it's really similar to this podcast. But when I was uploading every week, it just stopped being fun. It started feeling really stressful and overwhelming. And so for me, that was kind of the sign of hey, you need to do more of what makes you feel happy and more of what brings you joy. Because at the end of the day, this is the only moment I get to have, right? It would be tragic if, in my last moments, I came to that realization that, wow, all I did was literally work in my spare time, work my 9 to 5, and then also work for the content that I try to put out there. And I didn't actually enjoy the moment like I really would have wanted to. So it really does help to think about the state that you're in when you're doing the things that you're doing. So let's talk about what happens when we continue doing more of what we don't want to do and less of what we do want to do. I kind of mentioned resentment being an emotion that might come up, but it really just depends on what exactly are you doing and how much of your time is it consuming. So this is a great place to think about your day to day and your week to week. That's probably pretty consistent, I imagine, on a week to week basis. So how much of your week do you spend doing whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's gym, grocery shopping, cooking, being a parent, being a best friend, being a partner, whatever. Think like really like outline this. What do I spend my time doing? And then I want you to try to put like a time to it. Like how much time do I spend on all these activities? And then I want you to take a step back and think about, okay, where am I doing things that I want to do for myself? And it's okay if it's not a lot of time or if you're not doing anything at all. This is just about let's get an awareness of how much time we spend doing the things that we do. And then I want you to ask yourself, if I continue with this routine, what does that mean for me? If you already feel a little bit bad that you don't make time for yourself, what do you think happens if you continue this way of being for another year, for another 2 years, for another 3 years? It starts to feel like defeating, to feel like life is just a routine that we follow, to feel like it's just what it is, that we're going to do what we do the way we've always been doing it and nothing's ever going to change. If you could picture your future self 5 years from now doing the same exact things you've been doing, how's that version of you going to feel? And if that feeling isn't anything related to being happy, being more at peace, having more time, having more freedom to just do what fills your cup, then you really do need to evaluate and reassess, what do I need to change? Because at the end of the day, it's your life and you only get to be here one time. So make it count and make it so that when you are in those final moments, like not to be dramatic, but when you are in that moment to be like, I have no regrets. I literally have no regrets because I made sure that I made the time to live the life that I wanted to live. Even if it wasn't anything crazy or dramatic, even if it was you just giving yourself a couple of minutes a day or maybe, an hour in the whole week where you just did something that filled your cup, that's like what like brings genuine happiness and like sustains us, is just making that time for ourselves. And I think we have to remember not to minimize how effective even something like 30 minutes a week can be. Doing something that makes you so happy, whether it's going for that walk, whether it's meditating, whether it's just going for like a fun nature drive. Those are the moments that put you in that higher level frequency. And there's just so much power that we have when we're in those states. Like when you're feeling joy, peace, happiness, when you're just feeling alive, like, oh my God, life is just incredible. It's in that higher level frequency that you just become so open and you're a magnet. And even if you're not into the law of attraction stuff or don't know too much about frequency and just being a magnet, that's okay. I think we can all understand though that when we're in those elevated states, like just being very happy, for example, you just bring more into your life. It's not ironic. The times that you're feeling so happy and so good, it's like more just keeps coming to you, like more good news, more positive people in your life, whatever it is. So just remember that when you're doing things out of joy, you become open and receptive to more things flowing to you that keep you at that level. So let that be your motivation to focus on yourself and to pour into yourself and to just make a little bit of time for yourself to do what fills your needs. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the thing that I've been really excited to talk about, and that's just how we stop doing more of the things that we don't want to do. If you know that you're doing things that you don't want to be doing, you're saying yes to people, you're signing up for events you don't want to sign up for, you're taking on more than you want to take on, then this is the good part of the episode because we're going to talk about how do we actually check ourselves, how do we stop doing the things we don't want to do, and then how do we do more of what we love. So earlier I mentioned just giving yourself a moment to really analyze your life, like your routine, your day-to-day, your week-to-week, even your month-to-month. That's step one right here, is you just have to have an awareness of what does your life look like? Where are you spending your time? And then I want you to just pick a couple of things in your schedule that you do that you don't have to do. So maybe it's going to events with your friends. Maybe it's you offering to help someone who you feel like maybe doesn't really need your help. Just pick something, anything that you feel like doesn't need as much energy as you're putting into it. And then you're going to identify, okay, what does it look like for me to detach a little bit from this thing? So if it's something like you feel like you're spending way too much time for your friends and you just don't have the time for yourself, maybe detachment for you looks like, okay, I'm not going to go to every event with them. Maybe I go with them every other Saturday. Okay. And then the other 2 Saturdays, I'm just going to detach from what they might think. I'm going to detach from the idea that I might upset other people. And I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm going to find something I can do for myself. And that might be like more on the simpler side of things. For some of you, it might be a little bit more complicated than that, but there's nothing that any one of us can't do. If your heart is telling you, hey, this is the thing that we don't want to do anymore, then honor what that looks like for you. The other thing you're going to do is when you're looking at your schedule and your routine, think about, okay, where do I have these buckets or these moments where I can give some time to myself? It doesn't even have to be an hour a week, like even 10 minutes, okay? We all have 10 minutes. And if you think you don't have 10 minutes to give yourself, that is some inner work that I invite you to work around because we all have 10 minutes. There's nothing on this planet that deserves that 10 minutes more than you do. Okay. 10 minutes a week, be for real. So pick out where in your schedule that you have that time. And then what does it look like to honor that time for yourself? What does it look like to do more of what you love within those buckets of time that you have? Maybe you want to travel more. Okay. So that's probably something that you have to like really think in advance when and where you're going to go, how you're going to do it. But it doesn't have to be as dramatic as traveling. It doesn't have to be super expensive. It's just whatever you feel like you want to do for yourself that you're feeling like you need. And if you don't know what you need right now, if you don't know what you want right now, just write down a list of things that you feel like would bring you joy in this moment. It could even be as simple as like asking yourself, if I didn't have anything to do right now, if money was not a limitation for me at all, if I didn't have to work for the next 60 days, if I didn't have to be a student, a parent, whatever it is, what would I do? What would more joy mean to me right now? And that's a really good way to just get your mind open to what can I do and what might be more fun for me right now. And you don't have to do every single thing that's on that list. It's just to help you think about what would actually give you fulfillment in this moment. And then the fun part is, okay, pick a couple things from that list and start doing it. Start having fun. Start being in that mentality like when you were a kid who just appreciated every little thing in life, there was no limitation. It's like being back in that mentality of let's just play. Like, let's just have a good time. Just because we're adults here doesn't mean that we can't be playful. And something that I want to touch on real quick is some resistance that you might feel. Because y'all, I get it, okay? You're a busy person. You got a lot of things to do. You feel like you don't have a lot of time. I get it. So when you do finally make the time, you might feel kind of bad. And this is the thing that's so interesting about the way that we are and how our brains work is just when we do things for ourselves and when it's easy to feel guilty, even though we deserve to rest, we deserve peace, we deserve to have fun, we deserve to fill our own cup, we deserve to do what makes us happy. The thing is, when you find yourself in that moment of feeling bad, or if you find yourself in that moment of like, oh, I'm just going to stop and do whatever else I was doing, I really want you to remind yourself that you need this. When you fill your own cup and when you pour into yourself, that positively impacts everyone else around you. So even if you're feeling guilty because you're not showing up for someone, because you're doing something for yourself, remind yourself that, hey, when I fill my own cup, everyone in my life gets the best version of me. So if you really love and care about the people in your life and being the better version of yourself for them, then you'll make it a priority to fulfill your own needs. You'll make it a priority to give yourself whatever it is that you need. So just hold on to that when you're having that resistance. And before we get into our affirmations portion and our thought-provoking question, I do want to share with you guys something that's been coming to me, something that's been in my heart, which actually inspired today's episode. And that has to do with what it looks like for me to honor doing more of what I love in my life. And that brings me to feeling called to do this podcast bi-weekly instead of how we've been doing it weekly. I want to switch it up a little bit. And I also want to just give myself a little bit of more time between the episodes because lately it's been feeling like it just feels really fast. If I'm being honest, I'll do an episode, upload it, edit it, and I usually feel really good about it. But I also want to just be totally honest with you guys. Sometimes I feel like the back-to-backness takes away a little bit from me being able to be in the present moment and enjoy the moment because if y'all know me, you know how much this podcast means to me. This podcast is everything. And although I love that, and I love that I have something that I care so much about that I'm just really passionate about, sometimes I feel like it takes away from the moment. I just would like a little bit more of flexibility within my own life to say yes to the random spontaneous things that people around me want to do. And sometimes it's not even about that. Sometimes it's just like, I would love to just give myself a day off every weekend. If I'm being completely honest, like my mind and my body, my heart just wants to have like a day off that I do nothing. And I don't really ever do that. I'm usually so busy that I maybe get like a little bit time to myself, which, I'm grateful for the time that I have. But when you have that feeling in your heart and in your body and your mind that I want to just give myself more opportunity to just either rest or be present, it's like you just got to honor it. I feel like you just have to honor it. So right now, that's what's feeling really good is let's do it every other week. Let's give the people still really good, heartfelt, heart-led episodes that are meaningful and impactful, but let's also honor what I need and give myself a little bit of time in between each episode so I don't feel as rushed as I had been feeling to put something out every single week. And I know y'all are going to understand that. And I'm really grateful for you guys for just always holding that space for me when I need to take those one month breaks, those 2 month breaks. I do really appreciate it. I've been doing this podcast for 2.5 years now. And I feel like I get to like 4 months of weekly episodes before I start to feel like, okay, I need a break. And normally the break is 1 month. I did last year, we did a 2 month break. Right now, I don't feel like I need a break. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like we could keep these going. But I almost feel like by switching over to a bi weekly episode, that I don't know that I would need as many breaks in between. Like, I think bi weekly for me right now feels really sustainable. But of course, when I want to take a break and just maybe work on another project and then come back to the podcast, I'll always let you guys know. But yeah, I feel like bi weekly feels very sustainable. And that might change. We might switch it back up and go back to weekly episodes and kind of just go from there. But yeah, I feel really aligned with this decision and I'll always let you guys know if anything changes, of course. But I wanted to just be honest and like where my heart was at right now. I want to just be more present. I just want to be more present in my life and just give myself less of a crazy schedule. My schedule is always like go, 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 do, 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 whether it's working my 9 to 5 or the podcast or posting on TikTok or just thinking about like whatever next business venture I want to do. My head is always somewhere and I want to just be better about not having to have so much on my plate. So thank you guys for understanding. And with that being said, I just pulled up my phone because I'm like, okay, what does bi-weekly look like? I'll always let you guys know at the end of the episode when to expect the next drop. Because sometimes I think when you get to bi-weekly, it's like, wait, what day is the next episode going to be? Or what's the schedule like? So this episode is going to air on July 9th. And so the next episode is going to be on July 23rd. Oh, and I'm so excited, you guys. By the way, that episode is going to be like the day after I do my walkthrough for my house. I can't wait to tell you guys about that. And then it'll be August 6th, August 20th. So I'll always let you guys know at the end of each episode. And I also have a ton of other episodes. If you haven't seen some of the other episodes I have, you can always binge older episodes. You can check out my YouTube channel. I have a bunch of other videos on there. You can follow me on my other socials like TikTok and Instagram if you want to be more connected throughout the weeks when we're not doing episodes. But yeah, you guys, I'm just really excited to see how this goes and to kind of work through the limiting belief that I was having for a second there. Because when I thought about switching to bi-weekly, that's like where my heart and head was at. But then there was a part of me that was like, oh my God, are people going to want to listen if you're not producing weekly content? Is that going to feel like too much of a disconnect? And then I just had to remind myself, first of all, that's not true. There's other creators who do bi-weekly. There's other creators who do a monthly episode, right? So it doesn't matter the frequency. It's about the consistency. And I know that. And so that's something I just had to remind myself. And also, I don't think I shared this with you guys, but you know how I took May off? Like we didn't do any episodes in May. That was my break. I actually had the most downloads, like the most podcast listens ever in the month of May since I have started this podcast. And I did not post there was no single new episode I posted in May. So that kind of it's one of those things that like really proves to you like, wait, I don't need to upload every week. People still find my content and people still listen. So, just when you have those limiting beliefs, you really got to like walk yourself through it because we just make things up in our head that aren't even true most of the time. So anyway, let's get into our affirmations. We have 3 of them today. You can say them out loud or in your head. And I'm going to give y'all a second to repeat them after me. I deserve to do more of what makes me happy. It is my right to do what I love. I'm not obligated to hold on to what no longer serves me. Alrighty, you guys, 3 powerful, simple, effective affirmations. I hope you hold on to those and repeat them every day and say them anytime you're feeling bad or guilty about doing more what you love. And before we wrap up today's episode, I have a thought-provoking question for you. You can journal about it. You can write about it. You can share it with a friend. You can just keep it to yourself. You can share it with me, whatever you want, but make sure you take the time to sit with it. Where in your life are you still saying yes to things that you've outgrown? Be honest with yourself. Hold that space for yourself to really go deep and to peel back the layers so that you can make a change. Right? Change starts when we can be honest with ourselves. And so that wraps up today's episode. If this one resonated, don't forget to share it with a friend. If you haven't already, please leave this podcast a review. You can also send us a text. You can also reach out to me on Instagram. I would love to hear from anyone who tuned into today's episode. I hope you have a beautiful 2 weeks. And until next time, love you guys. Bye.